The massive doors of the council chamber opened with a sound like thunder rolling across mountains. Captain Dae-ho Kim walked forward on legs that felt like stone pillars. His black uniform bore the blue and white flag of Earth, but here among the towering alien delegates it looked small and meaningless. The chamber stretched beyond what human eyes could easily see. Curved walls rose up into darkness, covered in panels that glowed with soft blue light. Hundreds of alien beings sat in floating chairs that moved without sound. Their eyes, in colors that had no names, watched the lone human walking across the crystal floor. Dae-ho had been to this place many times over the past year. Each visit brought new hope that maybe, just maybe, the council would change their minds about Earth. Today he knew different. Today the hope was gone. Dr. Ji-Hai Park sat in the human observation section, her hands gripped tight in her lap. She had spent 5 years studying the aliens who now looked down at them with cold faces. The Nexari with their silver skin and black eyes. The Velnari who looked like walking trees made of metal. The Korthans who moved like liquid in glass, containers. All of them had one thing in common. They thought humans were nothing more than clever animals. Captain Kim of the species known as humans, came the voice that filled the chamber. It belonged to Chancellor Veltar of the Nexari Empire. His words came through the translation device that all humans had to wear, making his voice sound flat and emotionless. You appear before this council to hear our final decision regarding your species and your world. Dae-ho stopped in the center of the chamber. A circle of white light appeared around his feet, making him feel like a specimen under examination, which he realized was exactly what he was. For 50 Earth years we have observed your kind, Veltar continued. We have watched your wars, your violence, your inability to work together. We have seen you destroy your own environment and fight over resources that could easily be shared. Ji-Hai felt her heart sink. She had heard these words before, but never with such finality. We offered you knowledge, we shared our science and our culture. We hoped you would grow beyond your primitive nature. The Chancellor's silver face showed no emotion. Instead, you have shown us that some species are simply not meant for galactic civilization. In the back of the human section, Engineer Taemin Lee quietly activated a small recording device hidden in his jacket. His fingers moved carefully, making sure no alien eyes noticed. If this was the end of Earth's relationship with the galaxy, he would make sure they learned everything they could from it. Your species shows patterns of behavior that make you dangerous to peaceful galactic society, Veltar said. You solve problems with violence first and questions later. You make decisions based on emotions rather than logic. You cannot be trusted to follow the proper procedures that keep our civilization stable. Military strategist Soo-Jin Choi listened to every word while her mind worked on different problems. She was not thinking about the council's decision. She was thinking about the future, about what would happen after today, about how Earth would survive what was coming. You are creative, we admit this, the Chancellor continued. Your art and your music show imagination, but imagination without discipline is chaos. Chaos without control is destruction. We cannot allow such forces into our ordered galaxy. Dae-ho wanted to speak. He wanted to defend his people, to explain that humans were more than their mistakes. But he knew it would not matter. The decision had been made long before he walked into this chamber. Therefore, Veltar's voice grew louder. The Galactic Council declares that the human species and their homeworld known as Earth are permanently excluded from galactic civilization. The words hit like physical blows. Ji-Hai felt tears start to form in her eyes. Taemin's hand tightened on his recording device. Soo-Jin's jaw set like steel. All trade agreements between Earth and Council member species are immediately terminated. All communication channels between your world and Council space will be closed. A quantum barrier will be erected around your solar system to ensure that your violent tendencies cannot spread to threaten our peaceful worlds. The chamber filled with sounds of approval from the alien delegates, clicking, humming, and noises that human ears could not properly understand. They were happy. They were celebrating Earth's exile. You will be given 1 standard galactic month to remove all human presence from Council space, Veltar continued. After that time, Any human ships found beyond your solar system will be destroyed without warning. Daeho finally found his voice. And if we change? If we grow beyond what you think we are? Your species has had 50 years to prove yourselves worthy, the Chancellor replied. That is more time than we have given any other primitive species. You have failed this test. There will be no second chances. The floating chairs began to move as the alien delegates prepared to leave. For them, this was just another day of business. Another problem solved by putting it far away where it could not bother them. Captain Kim, Veltar said as the human delegation was escorted toward the exit, your people should be grateful. We could have chosen to eliminate the threat you represent, entirely. Instead, we are allowing you to live in isolation. Use this gift wisely. As they walked back through the corridors toward their ship, Ji-hai spoke quietly to the others. They have no idea what they just did. Taemin nodded, thinking about the alien technologies he had observed and recorded. They think they are removing a problem. They have no idea they just created one. Sujin said nothing, but her mind was already working on plans. Plans for the dark years ahead. Plans for the day when Earth would return to the galaxy. Plans for showing these proud aliens exactly how wrong they were about humanity. The human ship left the council station and began its long journey home. Behind them, the quantum barrier started to form, cutting Earth off from the stars. But barriers could be broken. Walls could be climbed. And humans had always been very good at doing what others said was impossible. The galaxy had just made its greatest mistake. They simply did not know it yet. 25 years had passed since the quantum barrier turned Earth into a prison. What the Galactic Council meant as punishment had become something they never expected. It had become Earth's greatest gift. Jun Ki-han stood in the command center of the Global Defense Initiative, watching holographic displays that showed the progress of 1,000 different projects. His hair had gray streaks now, and lines around his eyes spoke of years spent planning for a day that might never come. But his hands were steady as he reviewed the reports that would have amazed the aliens who exiled them. Director Han, came a voice from behind him. Taemin Lee, now chief engineer of the entire planet, walked up carrying a data tablet that glowed with blue light. His face showed excitement barely held in check. The quantum drive tests were successful. We can now move a ship the size of a city across the solar system in minutes. Jun-Ki nodded, but his expression remained serious. How does it compare to council technology? Taemin smiled for the first time in weeks. Sir, it makes their ships look like they are moving through mud. This was how it had been for 25 years. Every piece of alien technology that Earth had observed during their short time with the Council became the starting point for something better. Human engineers did not just copy what they had seen, they improved it. They made it faster, stronger, more efficient. The aliens had given humanity the greatest gift possible without knowing it. They had given them time to grow without interference. Dr. Yena Song worked in a laboratory deep beneath the mountains of Korea. The quantum barrier that surrounded Earth was like a wall made of energy, but Yena had spent 15 years learning how to peek through cracks in that wall. Her breakthrough came not from following alien science, but from ignoring it completely. The Council thinks in straight lines, she explained to her assistant as they calibrated another scanning device. They build barriers that stop everything, or nothing. But quantum physics does not work in straight lines, it works in possibilities. Her scanners could slip through spaces smaller than atoms, spaces that existed between one moment and the next. Through these impossible gaps, she could see what was happening in the galaxy beyond Earth's prison. What she saw made her stomach feel cold. The galaxy was at war. Not the organized conflicts that the Council was used to managing. This was chaos. Ships destroyed entire fleets and disappeared before anyone could respond. Colonies went silent in the middle of transmissions. Even the proud Nexari Empire was losing worlds faster than they could defend them. Director Han needs to see this immediately, Yana told her assistant as she saved the latest intelligence reports. In another part of Earth's orbital space, Commander Yunwoo Bei floated in the command seat of a ship that officially did not exist. The Stealth vessel had no name and appeared on no records. It was built using human improvements to alien cloaking technology, making it invisible to any scanner the Council possessed. "Sir," his navigator called out, "we are approaching the barrier breach point." Hyunwoo had discovered that Yena's microscopic gaps in the quantum barrier could be expanded just enough to let a small ship pass through. The trips were dangerous and had to be perfectly timed, but they gave Earth something invaluable. They gave Earth eyes and ears in galactic space. "Take us through," he ordered. The ship slipped through the barrier like a needle through fabric. On the other side lay the galaxy that had rejected them. What Hyunwoo saw there confirmed Yena's worst fears. A Council patrol fleet hung dead in neo-space, their ships torn apart by weapons that left no energy signatures. The destruction was complete but surgical. Whatever had attacked them knew exactly where to strike for maximum damage. "Record everything," Hyunwoo commanded. "Every detail." His crew worked in silence, gathering data about the dead ships and the strange weapon marks that covered them. This was the third such scene they had discovered in as many months. Someone or something was hunting Council forces with deadly efficiency. "Sir," his sensor operator called out, "I am detecting movement. 3 sectors away. Show me." The main screen displayed long-range scans of another battle in progress. Council ships fought desperately against enemies that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. The alien vessels followed predictable patterns, using textbook formations and standard tactics. Their attackers moved like liquid shadow, striking where the Council was weakest and vanishing before retaliation was possible. "The Council fights like they always have," observed his tactical officer. "By the book, following procedures. Their enemies fight like they learned from watching humans." Hyunwoo felt a chill run down his spine. The unknown attackers used chaos as a weapon. They were unpredictable, aggressive, and deadly. Everything the Council had said humans were too much of. Back on Earth, Jun Ki-han read the reports from both Yena's quantum scans and Hyunwoo's reconnaissance missions. The picture they painted was clear. The galaxy was under attack by something the Council could not understand or counter. "They are losing," he told his senior staff during their weekly briefing. "The same rigid thinking that made them exile us is making them vulnerable to these new enemies." "Should we feel sorry for them?" asked General Sujin Choi. She had risen to command Earth's combined military forces, and her question carried the weight of 25 years of resentment. "No," Junki replied. "But we should be ready, because whatever is destroying the Council will eventually find its way here." The meeting room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth had spent 25 years preparing for the day they would return to the galaxy. Now they might need to prepare for the day the galaxy's problems came to them. "How long do we have?" asked Taimin. Yena consulted her latest data. "Based on the rate of expansion, the attackers will reach the barrier in approximately 18 months. Junki stood up, his decision made. "Then we have 18 months to be ready for war. Not with the Council, but with whatever is destroying them." Outside the meeting room windows, Earth's orbital shipyards worked day and night building vessels that combined human creativity with improved alien technology. The exiled planet was no longer the weak world the Council had dismissed. It had become something new. Something dangerous. Something the galaxy would soon need very badly. The Council's mistake was about to become their salvation. They just did not know it yet. The fragment looked like a piece of black metal twisted into impossible shapes. It sat in the secure laboratory beneath Seoul, surrounded by energy shields and scanning equipment that hummed with power. Dr. Hairin Yoon studied the object through protective glass, her mind racing with possibilities she did not want to believe. "It responds to our presence," she told her research team. "Watch the energy readings when I move closer." As Hairin approached the containment field, the fragment began to glow with a cold blue light. The scanning equipment registered massive increases in electromagnetic activity. Most disturbing of all, the fragment seemed to be trying to learn from everything around it. "Director Han was right to classify this as our highest priority," said her assistant, Dr. Bomin Kang. "Whatever this came from, it is not like anything in our databases." The fragment had been recovered 3 days ago by Commander Hyunwoo Bae during one of his reconnaissance missions beyond the quantum barrier. He had found it floating in the debris field of what used to be a council research station. According to the logs his team recovered, the station had been studying peaceful applications of quantum technology when the attack came. The attack had lasted exactly 17 minutes. In that time, every living being on the station had been killed and every piece of technology had been absorbed or destroyed. Only this single fragment remained, apparently damaged during the escape. "Dr. Yoon," came a voice through the laboratory's communication system. "We have incoming priority transmission from Captain Woo-Jin Park. He says it is urgent." Hyarin activated the secure channel. Captain Woo-Jin Park appeared on the main screen, his face pale and his eyes wide with shock. Behind him, the bridge of his stealth ship showed red emergency lighting. "Doctor, we have visual confirmation of the enemy," Woo-Jin said without introduction. "You need to see this immediately." The screen changed to show external camera footage. In the darkness of space, something that should not exist was destroying a council battle fleet. The enemy ships looked like geometric nightmares, all sharp angles and surfaces that seemed to bend light around them. They moved with perfect coordination, striking the council vessels with weapons that simply unmade matter at the molecular level. "How many ships are we looking at?" Hierin asked. "That is the problem," Woo-Jin replied. "We count 47 distinct enemy vessels, but our computers cannot track them properly. They keep changing configuration. We think they are not individual ships at all. We think they are components of something much larger." As they watched, the enemy vessels began to merge together, forming a single massive construct that dwarfed the largest council dreadnoughts. The construct scanned the wreckage of the destroyed fleet, and mechanical arms extended to collect the debris. Within minutes, every piece of destroyed council technology had been absorbed. "They are not just destroying the fleets," Woo-Jin continued. "They are learning from them. Every battle makes them stronger." Hyarin felt ice form in her stomach. "Captain, transmit all your data to my laboratory immediately, and get back to Earth. Now." 6 hours later, Hyarin stood before the Emergency Council in Junki-han's command center. The room held Earth's most important leaders, all of them listening as she presented her analysis of the enemy. "They call themselves the Devourers," she began, activating a holographic display. "At least, that is what our translation systems make of their identification signals. They are not organic life forms. They are artificial intelligence, but not like any AI we have ever created." The hologram showed a 3-dimensional model of a devourer construct, built from the data Woo-Jin had collected. They were created by an unknown species millions of years ago, probably as weapons of war. When their creators died out, the devourers continued their programming. They consume organic life and technology, using what they learned to become more efficient at consuming more. Director Nari Kim from Earth's Psychological Warfare Division raised her hand. "How do they learn? What is their adaptation process?" "That is where it gets interesting," Hyarin replied. "They analyze patterns. Every time they encounter a new enemy, they study their tactics, their technology, their decision-making processes. Then they adapt to counter those specific patterns." "Council species are perfect targets for this," added General Soo-Jin Choi. "They follow rigid protocols. Their military tactics come from textbooks. Their responses are predictable because they value order and logic above all else." Hyarin nodded. "Exactly. The Devourers have been studying galactic civilization for decades, maybe centuries. They know exactly how each council species will respond to any given threat. They can predict fleet movements, anticipate defensive strategies, even forecast political decisions. But humans are different, Junki-han said, understanding where this was leading. "Humans are chaos," Hierin confirmed. "We make decisions based on emotion, intuition, and random inspiration. We change our minds without logical reason. We ignore our own protocols when they do not feel right. From the perspective of a learning machine, we are completely unpredictable." Nari Kim stood up, excitement visible on her face. "I have been studying the fragment in detail. Every time we interact with it, it tries to establish patterns based on our behavior. But it cannot. Human actions do not follow the logical frameworks it was designed to understand. You are saying we confuse them? Asked Tae-Min Lee. More than that, Nari replied. We break them. Their learning algorithms cannot process truly random behavior. When they encounter something they cannot predict or categorize, they enter recursive loops trying to solve an unsolvable problem. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. For the first time since the crisis began, they had found a weakness in an enemy that seemed unstoppable. There is more, Hiron continued. According to long-range scans from our quantum surveillance network, the Devourers have consumed approximately 60% of Council space. Entire star systems have gone dark. The Nexari Empire has lost half its territory. Even the core worlds are under threat. How long before they reach the quantum barrier? Junki asked. 8 months, Hirin replied. Maybe less if they continue to accelerate their expansion. Junki stood up, his decision made. Then we have 8 months to prepare for a war unlike anything the galaxy has seen. We are going to do what the Council thought was impossible. We are going to save them from their own mistake. Sir, General Sujin asked, what if they refuse our help? What if their pride makes them reject assistance from the primitives they exiled? Junki smiled grimly. Then we will save them anyway. Because that is what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves, even when they do not deserve it. Outside the command center, Earth shipyards worked faster than ever before. The exiled planet was preparing for its return to galactic civilization, not as supplicants asking for forgiveness, but as saviors armed with the one weapon the Devourers could not counter, humanity itself. Admiral Sang-Ho Lim stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Unity, watching the quantum barrier that had protected Earth for 30 years begin to crack like glass under pressure. Red warning lights bathed the command center as massive tears appeared in the energy field, each one wider than Earth's moon. Sir, we are detecting massive quantum signatures beyond the barrier, reported his sensor officer. Whatever is out there, it is big enough to destabilize the entire field. Sang-Ho had spent 8 months preparing for this moment, but seeing it happen still sent ice through his veins. All fleets to battle stations. Signal the orbital defense platforms. Today we find out if 30 years of preparation was enough. Through the largest tear in the barrier, something emerged that defied easy description. The Devourer construct was a geometric nightmare of black metal and pulsing energy, easily the size of a small moon. Behind it came smaller vessels that moved with perfect precision, arranging themselves in formations that human military minds recognized as textbook perfect. They are following standard fleet engagement protocols, observed his tactical officer. Formation Delta 7 from Council Military Doctrine. Sang-Ho smiled grimly. Then they are about to learn why humans stopped reading those books. On the other side of the solar system, pilot Bora Jang strapped herself into the cockpit of a fighter that looked like it had been built by someone who had never seen a proper spaceship before. The craft was a mixture of human engineering and stolen alien technology, welded together in ways that should not have worked but somehow did. Gold Squadron, this is Phoenix Leader, she transmitted to her unit. Remember, we do not follow any pattern they can predict. No formations, no standard attack runs, no textbook maneuvers. Today we fight like humans. Her squadron consisted of 23 fighters, each one unique and piloted by someone who had learned to ignore everything the military academy had taught them about proper combat tactics. They were rebels, misfits, and creative thinkers who saw war as an art form rather than a science. Phoenix Leader, this is command, came Admiral Sang-Ho's voice through her communications. Enemy fleet is approaching Earth orbit. You are cleared to engage using Chaos Protocol 7. Understood, Command. Phoenix Squadron, let us show these machines what unpredictable looks like. Bora's fighter launched from its hidden base inside an asteroid, followed by her squadron in a pattern that looked random but was actually worse than random. It was deliberately chaotic, with each pilot making decisions based on intuition, emotion, and pure human stubbornness. The Devourer fleet detected the approaching fighters and responded exactly as expected. They adjusted their formation to counter a standard fighter attack, moving into defensive positions that would maximize their firepower while minimizing their exposure. But Bo-Ra's squadron did not attack where they were supposed to attack. Instead, they split apart like water, each fighter following its own path based on nothing more than what felt right to its pilot. Some dove toward the planet, others climbed away from the orbital plane, and a few actually flew directly toward the largest Devourer ships, with no apparent plan at all. The machine intelligence controlling the Devourer fleet tried to analyze the attack pattern and failed. There was no pattern. The human pilots were not following any doctrine, any logic, any predictable system. They were improvising moment by moment, changing their minds mid-flight, and making decisions that contradicted everything the machines had learned about combat. "Phoenix 7, this is Phoenix Leader," Bo-Ra called to one of her pilots who was flying upside down for no tactical reason. "How are you feeling about that big ugly ship on your left?" "I do not like the way it looks at me," came the reply. "I think I will make it stop." Phoenix 7 rolled his fighter into an attack run that violated every rule of space combat, coming at the Devourer ship from an angle that left him completely exposed to defensive fire. But the Devourer weapons did not fire. Because their targeting, computers could not understand why anyone would attack from such a disadvantageous position. By the time the machines realized the attack was real, Phoenix 7 had already launched his missiles and was spinning away in a victory roll that turned into an accidental evasive maneuver. Deep beneath Earth's surface, elderly Captain Dae-Ho Kim worked alongside Dr. Ji-Hai Park in a laboratory filled with communication equipment. They had spent months preparing for this moment, creating what they called the Emotional Warfare Protocol. "Are you ready?" Dae-Ho asked, his weathered hands steady on the controls despite his age. Ji-Hai nodded, activating transmitters that would broadcast directly into the Devourer communication networks. 30 years of human art, music, poetry, and stories. Everything that makes us human, transmitted at frequencies designed to overload their logical processing systems. They pressed the activation button together. Across space, every Devourer ship suddenly received a massive data burst containing the complete works of human creativity. Love songs and war poems, children's laughter and mourning cries, paintings that showed impossible colors and stories that followed no logical structure. The machines tried to process it all, to find patterns and meaning in the chaos of human emotion. Their processors overheated, decision trees collapsed. Learning algorithms entered infinite loops trying to understand why humans created beauty for no logical purpose. Devourer fleet showing signs of system instability, reported Admiral Sang-Ho's sensor officer. Multiple ships are dropping out of formation. On her fighter, Bo-Ra watched as Devourer vessels began to move erratically, their perfect coordination breaking down as their artificial minds struggled with input they could not categorize or predict. "All units, this is Phoenix Leader," she transmitted. "They are confused and vulnerable. Hit them with everything we have, but do it wrong. Do it, human." The space around Earth erupted into a battle unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships attacked from impossible angles, used weapons in ways they were not designed for, and followed tactics that changed every few seconds based on the emotions of their crews. The Devourers, machines that had conquered most of the galaxy, through perfect adaptation and logical analysis, found themselves facing an enemy that could not be understood or predicted. For the first time in their existence, they began to retreat. But even as Earth's forces pushed back the invasion, emergency transmissions reached them from across the galaxy. The voices were desperate, proud beings brought to the edge of extinction. "This is Chancellor Veltar of the Nexari Empire," came the transmission that had taken weeks to reach Earth. "Our worlds are falling. Our fleets are destroyed. We were wrong about your species. Please, if you can hear this, help us. The galaxy is dying." Admiral Sang-Ho listened to similar messages from dozens of council worlds, each one a plea from civilizations that had once considered humanity too primitive to deserve galactic citizenship. "Sir?" his communications officer asked. "How should we respond?" Sang-Ho looked out at the Devourer ships fleeing toward the edge of the solar system, their logical minds broken by contact with human chaos. Prepare the fleet for galactic deployment. We have a galaxy to save. The Exiled had become the saviors. The mistake was about to be corrected. President Jun Ki-han stood in the command center of the massive Earth ship called Destiny, watching the quantum barrier dissolve completely around the Sol system. For 30 years, that barrier had been humanity's prison. Today, it became the door through which Earth would return to save the galaxy that had rejected them. President Han, came the voice of his communications officer. We are receiving the final distress call from the Nexari homeworld. Chancellor Veltar is requesting immediate assistance. Jun Ki listened to the transmission, hearing the desperation in the voice of the alien leader who had once declared humanity too primitive for galactic civilization. The proud chancellor's words were broken by static and the sounds of battle in the background. President Han of Earth, Veltar's voice came through the speakers. I know we have no right to ask for your help. We exiled you. We called you inferior. We were wrong about everything. Our worlds are falling. Our people are dying. You are our only hope. Jun Ki closed his eyes for a moment, remembering the humiliation of that day 30 years ago when humanity was cast out from the galaxy. Then he opened them and made his decision. Signal the fleet, he commanded. All ships prepare for galactic deployment. Today we show the universe what humanity truly is. The sight that emerged from Earth's solar system would have amazed anyone who remembered the small, primitive fleet that had been sent home in disgrace 3 decades earlier. 1,000 ships moved in perfect coordination, each one a masterpiece of human engineering combined with improved alien technology. They were faster than anything the Council had ever built, more powerful than Devourer constructs, and crewed by humans who had spent 30 years preparing for this moment. Admiral Hyunwoo Bae commanded the lead fleet from his flagship called Redemption. Behind him followed ships with names like Second Chance, Proven Wrong, and Never Again. Each name told the story of humanity's exile and their determination to return stronger than before. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, we are detecting massive Devourer fleet movements throughout Council space. They appear to be converging on the Nexari homeworld for a final assault. Then that is where we go, Hyunwoo replied. Maximum speed. Time to show these machines what they missed when they ignored Earth. Captain Woojin Park led the second wave of ships, his vessels equipped with the most advanced stealth technology humanity had developed. His mission was different from the main fleet. While Hyunwoo engaged the Devourers directly, Woojin would strike at their command structure using tactics no machine could predict. Captain, his navigator called out. We are approaching the Nexari system. Sensors show approximately 2,000 Devourer ships surrounding the planet. Woojin smiled coldly. Only 2,000? They should have brought more. On the surface of the Nexari homeworld, Chancellor Veltar watched the sky burn as Devourer ships rained destruction on his civilization's greatest cities. His silver skin had lost its metallic shine, and his black eyes showed an emotion his species rarely displayed. Fear. Chancellor, his aide reported, we are detecting new ships entering the system. The energy signatures do not match any known Devourer vessels. Veltar looked up at the tactical display and felt something he had not experienced in decades. Hope. The ships approaching his dying world carried the blue and white symbols of Earth. Open a channel to the human fleet, he ordered. The main screen, filled with the image of Admiral Hyunwoo Bae, older now but still carrying the confidence that had made him Earth's greatest explorer. Behind him, the bridge of his ship hummed with activity as humans prepared for the battle of their lives. Chancellor Veltar, Hyunwoo said simply, we received your message. Admiral, Veltar replied, his voice breaking. I do not know why you came. After what we did to your people, you owe us nothing. You are right, Hyunwoo agreed. We owe you nothing. But we are here anyway, because that is what humans do. The battle for the Nexari homeworld began with a sight that no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. 1,000 human ships attacked 2,000 Devourer vessels using tactics that defied all military logic. Some ships dove directly into enemy formations, others attacked from impossible angles, and several groups simply improvised strategies as they fought. Deep within the human flagship, Chief Engineer Tae-Min Lee and Dr. Yena Song activated their masterpiece. The Chaos Protocol was an artificial intelligence unlike anything ever created. Instead of following logical patterns, it made decisions based on human intuition, emotion, and pure randomness. Chaos Protocol Online, Yena reported. All human ships now have access to battlefield coordination that cannot be predicted or countered. The effect was immediate and devastating. Human ships began moving in patterns that looked random but were actually guided by an AI that thought like a human rather than a machine. The Devourers tried to adapt, tried to learn, tried to counter the human tactics, but found themselves facing an enemy that changed its mind faster than their processors could analyze. General Su-Jin Choi led the most daring part of the assault. Her strike force of 30 ships flew directly toward the largest Devourer construct, the command vessel that coordinated the entire enemy fleet. It was a suicide mission by any logical analysis, which was exactly why it would work. "Strike Team Alpha, this is General Choi," she transmitted to her pilots. "We are going to do something no sane military force would ever attempt. We are going to ram our way into that command ship and tear it apart from the inside." Her ships accelerated toward the Devourer construct, their weapons firing continuously. The enemy vessel tried to respond logically, positioning its defenses to stop a conventional attack. But Su-Jin's force was not attacking conventionally. They were attacking with pure human determination and a willingness to sacrifice everything for victory. The strike force punched through the Devourer defenses and crashed directly into the command vessel's hull. Human soldiers poured out of the damaged ships and began fighting their way through corridors filled with mechanical nightmares. They used weapons designed for ship-to-ship combat and close-quarters fighting, improvised explosives from medical supplies, and occasionally just hit things with whatever they could find. The Devourer construct had been designed to withstand logical, military assaults. It had not been designed to deal with humans who ignored logic entirely. "Command vessel is showing critical system failures," reported Admiral Hyunwoo's sensor officer. "The Devourer fleet is losing coordination." Across the battlefield, Devourer ships began to malfunction as their command structure collapsed under the weight of human chaos. Their perfect formations broke apart, their synchronized attacks became random firing, and their adaptive algorithms crashed when faced with enemies who made decisions based on feelings rather than facts. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the space around the Nexari homeworld was filled with the debris of destroyed Devourer ships. The mechanical threat that had consumed most of the galaxy was finally broken, defeated not by superior technology or overwhelming force, but by the simple fact that humans refused to be predictable. Chancellor Veltar stood in his command center, watching human ships rescue survivors from the wreckage of both Devourer and Council vessels. The humans made no distinction between former enemies and allies. They saved everyone they could reach. "Open a channel to President Han," Veltar requested. Junki's image appeared on the screen, his face showing exhaustion but also satisfaction. Behind him, reports poured in from across the galaxy as human fleets liberated world after world from Devourer control. "President Han," Veltar began, "the galaxy owes you a debt that can never be repaid. We called you primitive, but you have proven yourselves to be our superiors in every way that matters." "We are not superior," Junki replied. "We are just different, and sometimes different is exactly what the universe needs." The reconstruction of galactic civilization took years, but it was built on new principles. The rigid council was replaced by the Galactic Alliance, where diversity of thought was valued over conformity. Humans took their place not as rulers, but as protectors of the idea that being different was not a weakness to be corrected. And in the deepest archives of the Alliance, a single message was preserved for future generations. It was the recording of Chancellor Veltar's final transmission to Earth, the one that had started humanity's return to the stars. "Help us," it said simply. "We were wrong." 3 words that changed the galaxy forever. 3 words that proved the greatest mistake the Council ever made was underestimating the species they thought was too chaotic to deserve the stars. The exiles had come home, and they had brought salvation with them.